over there? It's excited. It's the new year. Woof, woof, woof. Hey, hey, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Hopefully somebody can tell me if they can hear me or not. I am going to check on the live over here. Perfect. All right, looks like it's working again. The last couple of videos I shot didn't come through. My apologies, and I've not been able to communicate with YouTube yet on those individual videos to see if somehow the audio can be restored. So I have to do a little bit more investigating on that, but thankfully it appears that the live stream audio is working today. So thank you, YouTube. Right? Right? Good start to the New Year's, right? Who made it to midnight out there? Anybody? Anybody? Did you make it past midnight? Right? I am going to do a spread from this deck today. Okay. It is not a spread I normally do, so I am going to actually follow what the book has in here. It is called, I thought it was interesting, the Dreamers Spread. And I'm doing this one in particular specifically because I ran across a video on YouTube the other day and it kind of concerned me. And it was about, it was a teacher commenting about, you know, what their students are planning for their futures when they dream big, okay? And she said most of the responses were not really about what the students wanted to do or become, but it was more about them having money. Which I feel like, you know, as adults, most of us relate to that, right? There's always a question, that's like the number one thing people fight about, right? They have a replay of Jodi Arias' trial when she was convicted of murdering Travis. My apologies, I don't remember his last name. And you know, she claimed there was some fights about money and whatnot, but I still don't buy her. You know, like her and Casey Anthony and people like that, I'm like, no second chance, no second look needed. You know what I mean? But anyway, so, you know, but, you know, say, hey, yeah, if you did win the lottery, what would you want to do with that money? You know, maybe you could go to the college of your choice and not have to worry about money or getting loans or asking your parents or family members for help, right? You know, things like that. Or, you know, yeah, if you won the lottery, you know, you had money, you could afford a house for your family, afford a car for your family, you know, things of this nature. So this is called the Dreamer Spread. So I would like to do this spread to help get that creative dreaming cycle going, okay, out there in the collective, if for some reason you may have been stuck in past cycles, okay? So we're going to go ahead and start here. So the very first card that we're going to pull is going to be for the Dreamer, which is supposed to represent you collective, the Dreamer, and is a reflection of what resides in your present vibration, okay? So I'll put my little snazzy bookmark in there. And we will get this going. This is kind of a large deck, and it's one of my newer ones, so I'm going to do a regular shuffle though on these, just so we get a nice approximation of what your future 2026 may hold, right? Hopefully it's not sitting on one of these horrendous murder trials like some of the... Can you imagine seeing all that evidence and having to listen to some of these defendants? Like, obviously some people are innocent. Other people are not. And it's kind of gross, right? So knowing what we know out there as adults, sometimes it stops us from dreaming in ways that are good because we know there's so much bad out there, right? We're like, right? And you kind of need to melt that away, right? So especially, yeah, look at that, melt that away, King of Fire. You might be a fire sign. Okay. So let's get to the Dreamer, you collective, and see what the first card is in this spread today. Because her boyfriend that she, offed, he was a guy with hopes and dreams, right? He didn't think that's how his end was gonna be in life, right? Okay. The Six of Cups, it appears, of water. Okay, collective. So you being the dreamer here, okay? Yeah, reflective of what resides in your present vibration. So, Six of Cups is traditionally a reunion card. I would also say that it also is, this is kind of giving me a little bit of that Six of Pentacles energy as well, even though it's in the cups, where it's kind of like you're not just coming together for the sake of because you're bored. It's more like you have something to give and you actually want someone to receive it, and hopefully it's received well, right? You ever you know like say maybe you made somebody some food once or something, and like they just never said anything about it, and it's like, oh, I hope my cooking wasn't bad, or maybe they didn't like what I made them, or what I mean, who knows, right? Whereas some people, when they do something for you, you might go out of your way to make sure to thank them or show your appreciation, or just some kind of recognition, right, that you exist, right, as a person, as a whole person with something to give and experience, right? Just because somebody else doesn't recognize it doesn't make it not so. Just like that guy that was murdered by his girlfriend. I mean, if he was with the right girl, that would not have happened to him, right? So he was giving of himself, and then what happened? He got taken advantage of. So sometimes, it's hard for us to think that there's somebody out there that wants to give, but think of all the people that know and see what she did was wrong. See what she did to him was wrong. Okay? So, because it's people like her, or, whoever, like, these guys that take their girlfriends up on these mountains and leave them up there like, die, bitch. What I mean? It's like, what? Not everybody's like that. Not everyone's like that. Okay? And some of these people think this is like actually funny. They think it's a game. They think this is like a video game of life that they're playing out there. But, if they don't get caught by the course, eventually, spiritual law catches up, right? And that's when, right, enough is enough. I ain't Jesus Christ. I already got my ass saved. Okay? And anything else of that nature goes right to a higher power, or that be God, however you celebrate your higher power. Okay? Even people who don't necessarily believe in a specific higher power, they might be agnostic, but it's still a universal law, right? They still believe in the laws of karma and dharma and things of that nature. So, and also, just because something bad happens to you, right? Like this guy was murdered, like, that doesn't mean he deserved it. Because some people will be out there and see bad things happen to you and think that you deserve it somehow. Because that you must have done something to deserve it, right? Those people don't understand what karma actually is. They are novices at karma. Okay? You know, and especially the ones that walk around saying, karma's a bitch, karma's a bitch. They think everything is, you know what I mean? It's like, we were all created with free will, right? And some people, what do they choose? They choose the devil on their shoulder. They choose the shadow side, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of looking into the light and saying, gosh, you know? I mean, how easy would it have been for her to just walk away from the situation? But no, she had to go psycho. You know, she is the psycho lady that killed her boyfriend. You know what I mean? Just like that, whatever, the guy from Colorado that offed his wife and children. The Watts guy that's still in jail. I mean, why do we have to keep hearing about these people? Why do they keep appearing on television? So, collective, when you dream, right? Think about you're dreaming of something bigger, something better, something that you can both enjoy, right? Because when it is a shared dream, it gets better, right? It's always better when it's shared. All right, so the next one to come out, we're going to talk about the unconscious mind. Okay? So, there's that King of Fire again. Interesting. Interesting. So next in the unconscious mind for the collective. This is very similar spread to a Celtic cross, but it is not. I don't know. I mean, this is called the Dreamer spread. I don't know if the author of this book made up this spread for themselves or if they're taking this from something else. Just as an FYI, if you are somebody who is more familiar with the structured spreads. Okay? Who's talking about random stuff? That's a good question. You know, when I was in college, a lot of people would say random. Random. It was a very 90s thing. Random. Knowledge. Okay. So this again is the unconscious mind. Okay. What dwells within your unconscious mind? Is it in harmony with your present vibration? So is the knowledge you have in harmony with your present vibration? Okay? So, for instance, such as the Arius case, right? Obviously, this man was not in with the correct vibration of his knowledge, right? The knowledge that a girlfriend isn't supposed to be angry at you all the time or fighting with you all the time or, murdering you, right? And acting violent and things of that nature. A lot of times we go against our gut, thinking that somehow there's a logical step that we must have missed. Well, we must have just missed that turn. No. You didn't miss the turn. You're just still on the long road. Okay? Your knowledge is still with you that you had 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago. That's why I feel like education is very important, especially for people to complete. Because once you have that, nobody can ever take that away from you. They can strip your title, your job title. They can, you've seen all the news reports, all these, they're raising all the property taxes and the fees, and they try and, take over, especially elderly folks. They try and seize their properties. Very, very criminal type, thuggish behavior that is unfortunately legal in the U.S. Governmental system and municipalities in some areas. But our higher knowledge, our knowledge tells us that that's wrong. I don't care how many little rules and regulations you write, but deep down we all know that people trying to do that kind of stuff is wrong, don't we? We know it's wrong. Mm-hmm. And we're going to sit here and say it's wrong, aren't we? Just like the people on the Arius jury saw her and said, that woman is wrong. It was wrong what she did. And she got convicted, didn't she? No matter of explaining, no matter of a new way of explaining, there was no new story, no new tale, no new acting job on the stand. Because we all know what she did was wrong. Not only that, there was beyond circumstantial evidence showing that she was wrong, proving that she was wrong. But we see how many times people get away with it, right? And we think, how can I beat that? How can I beat that? But yet we still know. We still have possessed the knowledge. Some things don't change. Okay, so that's the unconscious mind. Okay, so again, as you go through 2026, right, and you get people, you're going to have all the diet fads coming at you, you're going to have all the new exercise techniques, you're going to have all the new shows telling you how you're going to improve this and that, right? It, you know, keto kind of gets a little heat out there, but I'll tell you my personal keto story when that kind of came across, and people are like, oh, the carbs are so bad, they're so bad. And it's like, so you're not eating these vegetables? Oh, no, it's carbs, it's sugar. Ah. Well, my unconscious mind is letting me know, right, that nobody out there is going to tell me a carrot is bad for me. And in fact, carrots contain a lot of vitamin A, which is good for your eyesight. In fact, eating brightly colored fruits and vegetables is very good for your health overall. And guess what? It wasn't created by the guy who wrote the keto book. It was created by somebody that came before you and me. Carrots were. And celery and broccoli and all these little goodies. And potatoes. I mean, the entire Irish race survived, right? Until they didn't, when they hit the famine, right? On potatoes. Carbs. So again, before you let people get you confused and off track and thinking you're not doing the right things with your life, again, think what your unconscious mind already possesses as the knowledge. And then you can say, oh, well, thank you, that's very interesting. I'll research that some other time. Okay, that's how you handle those conversations, right? Thanks for your input. I'll check that out on my own time. Right? Because a lot of people, that when they get into things, that's all they want to talk about. Right? You can say, thanks, that sounds interesting. Right? Because some people think, like, if you're not doing what they're doing to a T, like, you can't be friends. I've run across that in my life in some different interesting facets. Especially people that don't want you to have other friends besides them. But yet, if you were to call them up, are they even available? So it's like, so you're not supposed to have other people to... Yeah, I don't... I've never been into that. And unfortunately, some people's are that way even into adulthood. And you have to ask yourself whether or not that's the best use of your time. You know, what kind of knowledge do you possess that tells you that that kind of possessiveness and isolation in a relationship doesn't promote growth? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Okay? And in fact, it takes you away from this thing that you've been going towards. Okay? I'm liking this dreamer so far. This is very interesting. Okay. The next card is for the past. Your past has shaped you. What from your past is influencing your choices in the present? Okay, so let's keep going here. So again, if you're just joining, Happy New Year's to you. Please do like the video, especially if you're in the chat today. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video. But if you want to be notified of when I am going live and able to hit the notification bell, you do need to hit the subscription button. Remember, you are never charged here on YouTube to watch me, only by your time and watching the YouTube ads. I will never, ever, ever require that you pay to watch for one of these free upload videos, right? Now, if you were out somewhere and if I had a booth set open, yes, I do charge for readings at those times. No, I do not email people. No, I do not ask for $6,000 to release your spell work so you can fuck off with all of that bullshit. And I will never forget anybody who ever accused me of doing such things. Okay? Yeah, I don't forget things like that. Again, you know, some people should have had that knowledge already to realize that, like, you were never that kind of person before, so, like, why would you become that kind of person now? But yet, they just wanted to, I don't know, save their own skin, I guess. Right? Yeah, you need to look at yourself and say, well, my knowledge tells me that I don't want to be around people like that. Nope. Nope. And I'm talking about people you've had in your home, people whose businesses you've patronized or supported over the years. You know, people who smile in your face. Don't forget the case that I'm watching right now on this, rewatch it. I mean, this is probably all the people that, like, woke up today and like, oh, I'm single. Yeah, well, look at what happened to Jodi Arias' boyfriend. Okay? Trust me, you don't want to be single that bad. You don't. There are worse things in life. There really are. And she's going to pay for that for the rest of her natural life. Right? Yeah. Bizarre. Bizarre. All right. Past here. So this is 3. What is this suit here? Let me make sure I'm getting it correct. It's not fire. I think this is earth. Kind of appears that way. I'll show you guys the picture here in a moment. Yeah, since it's pointed down towards the... I was just talking about spring in that previous reading that got kind of boogered up with the volume. So the 3 of Pentacles traditionally is a working... about who you're building these work contracts with or relationships, if it even exists in that manner, right? Here, though, the subject is planting. So the contract they're making is with the earth. And they're saying, hey, earth, I want to put this little seed in. right? Come, whenever your planting time is, right? And my hope is for that it's going to grow, right? And you see the little bunny rabbit right next to me, and I'm like, yeah, grow, so I can nibble on the leaves, right? You know, things like that. Okay, so again, getting back to that dreaming circle of wonderfulness. Okay, what do you want to bloom? How does your garden grow? All right. Since this is appearing in the past, you might be being encouraged to look at in the past where things grew versus didn't grow, right? And understand exactly how you need to be planting those seeds for the next round. All right. And many of you, you can see this character is green here, has the horns, kind of looks like a Capricorn style slash Jolly Green Giant person. Anyway, um, which did anybody catch the Wicked special last night? Wasn't that fun? I watched some of it. I was slipping between different shows, but I thought that was pretty cool. Seeing some of the live stage show, because I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there who have not been able to go to a play performance of Wicked, and or maybe haven't even seen the movies yet. So the fact that it was on TV, kind of just as The Wizard of Oz was on TV every year annually, it was always a big event, right? So again, when you look into the past, for some people it might be hard to find those little gems, right? Well, that's okay, because sometimes we can start new traditions, right? Think about the goodness of the old, right? And think about the positivity of the new. Okay? So, and that is in the past position of the Dreamers spread today. Okay. So the next one is the immediate future. Okay. This has 9 cards total, so we're now on for the immediate future. So let's take a look at what the future holds. Another Earth card looks like the Ace of Pentacles. Wow. Wow. So, abundance, prosperity, yay, 2026. Maybe when you do plant that garden, you're going to be like gangbusters this year. Maybe you're going to have a good season this year, planting, growing, and otherwise. Okay. So that is in the immediate future. I think also what you're going to have is the resources to get this accomplished. Okay, where you may have not necessarily had the resources previously, whether that be time, hands on deck, financial, things of that nature. Okay. All right, this is a little bit louder in the background. This other, I don't know who they're talking about now. It's not the Arius case anymore. Thank goodness. Every time I see one of those folks like her or the Chris Watts dude or whatever, it's like, really? Anyway. But it's a good reminder that, not everything's so picture perfect out there, right? And a lot of us can get, I think, jealous on social media, or, kind of, make up stories about what we think other people's lives are like, but we were really wishing our lives were like that, right? But realize just because what you're seeing doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Okay. All right. So next up, the long-term future. This is the energy of your environment and self that affects and influences your long-term future, your goals and dreams. Okay. So immediate future, say more short-term goals. A long-term goal is anything at least that takes like a year to accomplish or more. Short-term goal, they say, is less than 12 months. Okay. So a short-term goal could be monthly. It could be 3-month, 4-month, 6-month commitment, things of that nature. All right. Ooh, the journey card. Interesting. So this long-term goal that you have may take you on a bit of a journey. Okay. Here you're standing up. You have a staff in one hand. You have a cloak about you. You have a pouch. Okay. There's things here to assist you on your journey. It's like you got all the ducks in the row, seeing you have all the abundance, right? But I think what it's saying here is in order to pull this off, you might have to journey to see it to completion. Okay? So the next one we have is the conscious mind. What dwells within your conscious mind and is driving thoughts, feelings, and overall perception is in harmony with your overall energy and unconscious mind. So remember, in the unconscious mind, we had the knowledge, okay? Whereas your conscious mind, that's the, the chit chat, the day to day, and they come up with some great idea at work, and, you're sitting back thinking, like, but, conscious mind, you're supposed to be working on it because that's what the boss wants, but does that mean it's going to turn out the way they want? Oh, the days of being on a team in the office, right? And all the meetings and, and people that get upset if you don't attend their meeting. So it's like popularity contest for people that wanted to like run the student council or something. I don't know. Anyway, destiny card. Okay, so conscious mind, you're actually taking steps towards your destiny. So as you're dreaming here, yeah, I think this is what's happening. You're actually seeing the bigger picture. Okay. That's good. All right. Next card up is going to be repression, a potential blockage. Okay, so this would be an energy or influence that if you are avoiding or is in need of strengthening in order to help make your dreams a reality. Okay, so let's see how this ties in with destiny in the conscious mind. And the thing is, it's like the time is now, right? Especially when we take those, New Year's resolutions and say, well, if you're not going to do it now, then when? Okay. So this is the 7 of Swords here. Okay. So I think what might be in part of the block is because, yes, collective acknowledging you may have had not so great experiences, especially if there's a specific goal or challenge that you've tried to pull off in the past. And you realize that working with certain folks or people wasn't exactly the path to fruition that you required. Okay, so the next card here is guide, a potential guide or energy. This will strengthen you and work with any blockages. Okay, so yeah, so you're not So you're acknowledging that you might need help with this give and take because you started off with the Six of Cups. You also understand that you're not just going to trust everybody. You know, maybe you were more naive in the past. Maybe, you know, you didn't think so and so would do you like that. But you know how it'll, you know, you ever seen Carlito's Way? You ever see Carlito's Way? Now, was he was the hero in the story, you know, he was the protagonist in the story, but you know, he was also a gangster. Some people be like, well, he got what he deserved because he was living the life, right? But that still wasn't right how his friend did him because he was supposed to be his friend. Or was his friend just looking out for his own interests in the business, right? Whatever that business was, right? And again, very similar to the Arius case where it's like, why can't you just let somebody walk away? Why it's got to be this and that, you know? Like they're playing Mortal Kombat in some video game. This is, hey, we're in the real world here, folks. I might be appearing on your video screen, but I'm a human being. Thought. Okay. Potential guide or energy strengthening you and working with blockages. Okay, so you keeping these thoughts and not focusing on negative thoughts, but recalling, right? And saying, okay, we're not going to do that this time, right? But if we want to continue this happy little thought, we might have to go this way, right? So, yeah, the guide may be, oh, yeah, we said we were going to have our kids at the same time and they were going to go to the same school and we're going to live in the same neighborhood. And just because something doesn't go the way you thought it would doesn't mean it's going to end up bad. Right? Some people be like, oh, being single is so terrible. Yeah, well, I didn't wake up with nobody trying to murder my fucking ass today. I mean, I'm a domestic violence survivor, so you know, I know how it works. I've done the research. I have done the research. Because that's what a lot of survivors do. We gaslight ourselves. We say, how could somebody who's supposed to love? Well, it's because that's just how those folks are. Okay? So, you know, again, you have knowledge of this, right? But it's always like, I can't believe it's happening to me, right? But, you know, sometimes it is what it is. I know, we're all special little snowflakes that are going to be protected in these little insular bubbles because we're so smart, right? And we have this knowledge. That's why they say some of these people can be so dangerous because it doesn't really matter your socioeconomic level. Manipulators are very crafty at whatever level, right? Even the highest levels, right? I mean, look at Look at all the stuff that's been coming out with the Justice Department and everything. And all them people are going to be like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't, it's all going to be, oh, I didn't know. And I didn't know. And I didn't know. Right? I mean, they had some knowledge. I mean, they were just chasing the money, just trying to figure out where the money's coming from. Is that why everybody's visiting all these nice places that my personal friend just happened to put me on his private plane and swept me away? It's like when you hear people say, "Oh, well, he said he's gonna fly me out here." Like, and do you know anyone there when you get there? Are you gonna have a phone when you get there? What's your money situation like when you get there? You got access to an ATM? Do you even have any money to get back home? I mean, it was not too long ago. There was some Dateline. There was some huge party that some girl went to, with her friends, and nobody gave her a ride home. And guess what? She turned up dead later. And out of them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, just nobody knows. Nobody knows. This is why I'm very much a have your own ride type person. I'm not dependent on nobody else for that. I suggest you do the same. That's why some people don't, drink or things like that, because they want to have control over themselves. And I'm not saying you can't go out and have a good time and things like that, but you need to have a plan, A, B, C, D, and all the way through Z. Because trust me, something will go wrong. Somebody will flake out on you. You will be left to test the waters on your own. Oh, so and so isn't there? Okay. You keep telling yourself that. You keep telling yourself that. Just like them people would be like, oh, I can only have one friend. But then when you call them up, they're always busy, or they can't do this and that. And it's like, okay. Guess we're real friends then, huh? The maiden. All right, so the maiden here is in the expression slot. This is the key to unlocking a potential direction for your creative flow. Okay, so for some of you, it might feel like a maiden voyage. You might be like, well, I don't know how to do that. So that's what you got to start saying. So was one of my favorite lines in a movie. And a coal miner's daughter, when I think it was they were married by then. The couple playing Loretta Lynn and her husband Doolittle. And, he gets her this guitar, and she's like, what am I supposed to do with this? He's like, play. And she's like, I don't know how to do that. He's like, you're not too ignorant to learn, are you? Sometimes it's a choice, ain't it? Right? Oh, I didn't have money for this, and we didn't have that. You know how thrilled folks would have been way back when to just pop open YouTube and figure out how to do this on their car or that on the, you know what I mean? So go on there in 2026 and express yourself. Okay? And you'll find learning happening in motion. Okay? All right. Oh. This was very interesting here. And then overall energy at the bottom of the deck is the Eight of Pentacles, which is a very strong. So again, I feel like this dream for many of you might be, somewhat earthly in nature. Okay. This could even, literally go with gardening, landscape, things like that, or say like home decoration, things like that. Okay. And also with the Eight of Pentacles, being able to do it, maybe your kids are older now and you're like, hey, I want to get some nice furniture for a change, stuff that the kids aren't going to be jumping up and down on, or the dogs or whatever. Okay, the Eight of Pentacles is there saying, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you can budget that in. And when you make your space where you're living your kind of your little Shangri-La, right? Then it's kind of like when you change the interior, right, of yourself and start to approach things with the right attitude. Okay, that you can say, hey, we can do this, right? Or maybe it's a creative project in a way. Maybe you're gonna make some new couch cushion covers. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what your skill level is out there. Okay. So this Six of Cups being the first card coming out, I feel like for those of you, especially where you might have felt a void in 2025 emotionally, I feel like in 2026 that void is going to feel a sense more of completeness, of wholeness, okay, a sense of calm. All right. Okay. All right, and that is all I have for you today. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. Please do like the video as mentioned before. And if you are not a subscriber, please take a chance to do so now. But remember, you do not have to be one in order to like the video. You can just hit the thumbs up, and that helps the channel as well. And it helps me know you're watching. You know what I mean? Anyway. Until next time, enjoy your bowl games out there. I don't even know who's playing today. Anyway, manifest wisely. Bye-bye.